Hello.
Hey, is this Vernell?
Yes, it is.
Hey, Vernell, it's the Drew and Mike Show calling. How you doing today?
Not too bad.
We were just watching the preview of the show coming up on Reels, and I guess you got to participate in that. We saw you there.
Yes, I did.
Did you live next to Jeff for a long time?
I lived across the hall from him for maybe about a year or a little more.
Wow.
Incidentally, I did write a book. The name of the book is Across the Hall.
Oh, no kidding. That's easy to remember.
Is it on Amazon?
Yes, it's on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, but my publishing company is Lulu.com.
Nulu?
Lulu, Lulu.
Oh, Lulu. Okay.
Is the book still in print?
Yes, it is.
It is. Okay. How's it done for you?
Well, so far, I've been getting people been buying the book, and I've been getting good reviews and things of that nature. You know, it's not really about the money, so it's more so about telling my story.
Yeah.
So,
did it help you get out of that horrific apartment though, and move to a better place?
well, I published it like 11 years after it happened.
Ooh, weird. That's a whole nother part, living there while the investigation and the media surrounding it.
Yes, and that's what my book entails.
Oh.
It's about what we as the people in the Oxford apartments went through living there with him, you know, living there with Jeffrey Dahmer.
Ugh,
now,
But people don't know what was never told about what we went through, you know, as neighbors living in the Oxford apartments with him.
Well, these stories are interesting. There's a huge interest in true crime stories and its impact on the other people around. And in your case, of course, being across the hall, and that's a great title for the book again. I would imagine there was obviously things that went on before the police were ever involved that aroused your curiosity. Did you notice a lot of men going to his apartment? I mean, did you think that he was gay, or did you just think he had a lot of friends, or did you have any thoughts on that?
Trust me, he was so clever. I never saw him take anyone to his apartment.
Really?
Yeah, I lived right across the hall. I never saw anyone go into his apartment, and that's because the building was built on a hill, and the front of the hill, the front of the building. When you come in, we lived on the second floor. You had to ride the elevator to the second floor and actually pass through the whole building because we were in the back of the building. But now, if you enter from the back of the building, then you're coming in on the second floor. And he was one door or two doors away from the back door.
Oh, so he could slip in and out.
Exactly. You could go right in without being seen.
Did you have much contact with Jeff? I mean, was he a nice person, or what contact? Well, how would you characterize your contact with him?
He was a pleasant, average guy. You know, single guy. You know, I was under the impression that he was going through a bunch of woes because he told me that his girlfriend, that he had broken up with his girlfriend who lived in West Dallas, and I figured, you know, that if he was madly in love, you know, that he was going through hard times, regretting not being with her, and things like that, missing her, and that kind of thing, So I really didn't pry too much after he told me what he was going through with his ex-girlfriend.
That's
so I just buddied him up a little bit because he was the only white guy in the vicinity that lived in the area and lived in the building. And I in turn was the only black guy that worked where I worked.
Oh, so you could
relate. I worked at an architectural firm.
Hey.
And so I kind of related to him in that fashion.
I mean, that's some pretty heavy stuff to talk about. You never had small talk like about, hey, the Packers are they're really looking good with I don't know whoever the quarterback, Don Mikowski.
No, we never had a small talk like that. He got robbed. Once or twice he got robbed in the neighborhood where we lived. It had a nickname as being known as the Drug City. So everybody called it the Drug City. And not a day passed where there wasn't crime or a homicide.
Well, when you said drugs, Drug City, right?
Yeah,
What drugs were the popular drugs at that time?
crack cocaine.
Crack.
Oh boy.
Was did Jeff engage in drugs at all that you knew of?
No, he did not.
No, he just drank.
He was a drinker, yeah.
No, the only thing he did was drink, and he would never. It kind of surprised me when after he had lost his job, and I started seeing less of him.
Yeah.
And I did see him one time, and he had shaved. You know, he looked really rough.
Yeah.
You know, and at that time, that's when the odor was closest. It was really bad.
Oh, when it was starting to smell.
What?
Yeah.
Now, was it always like that, though? I mean, were there always kind of suspicious smells coming from his apartment?
The smell went on before he was arrested. It went on for maybe, I would say, for maybe 4 to 5 weeks.
Oh, did you complain to the super?
Yes, we did. And my ex-wife and I, we called the police because someone had moved out of an apartment that was the apartment, the buildings, the hallway. We were in like 2 sections. We had the first section, which I would guess maybe 8 units, and then you passed through some doors where you could close behind you, which that door stayed open, and then now you're in our section.
Oh, I see.
And may have been maybe 8 apartments and passing through that would come along that hallway, and then you go out the back door.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody had moved out of an apartment that was the first door going into the first half of the building, which would be close to our end, coming towards the back. Are you following me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And someone had moved out, and we thought that something had died in the vents, or maybe they had left the body in the apartment.
Well,
and so the police came and they broke into that apartment.
Oh.
And it was empty.
And
Nothing.
did Jeff ever comment on that? Like, yeah, I think the smell is coming from that apartment, or did he kind of stay out of the
Throw
conversation?
people off?
No.
Yeah, he complained to the super too.
At the time, when they did do that, he was sleeping because he worked third shift.
Mm.
And when they did break into that apartment, it was during the daytime, and he was unaware of it until after it had occurred, and they put a sign on the door saying not enter until they passed to the lock and repaired. The police put their own lock on there until managed to replace the door.
Oh, that's so weird. What about, did you ever witness, I know he kept a really low profile, but there was that Laotian young man who apparently took off running nude down the street, and I guess Jeff chased after him, and when the police got to the police, Jeff said, this kid, he's trouble, but he's my friend. Let me try and sober him up, and the police left him into his care. But I just wondered if maybe that aroused any attention in the building, this nude Laotian 14-year-old who had a hole drilled in his head, running around nude.
Now, when that occurred, I actually defended Jeff because I had no knowledge of that.
Oh, okay.
I actually defended him, saying that didn't occur, you know. But that was when I was questioned by the police. Until I found out the next day that it had occurred. You know, and then that let me know right then that hey, he fooled me really good. He has been really fooled.
Did you ever speak to him after that? Did you speak to him after that and mention, what's with these nude Laotians running around out of your apartment, Jeff?
No. That didn't come to light until after he was busted.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay, so where were you when you finally believed or realized, like, oh my God, what a total creep? Like, what was it that really hit you?
The police was knocking at my door, evacuating the building.
Yeah. Oh. Did they interrupt you? Were you watching like TV or something?
No. I was sleeping. It may have been around 12:30 or 1 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, really? Well, they could have waited till the morning.
When I looked out my peephole, I could see cops at my door.
Oh.
Oh boy.
So right away, I was spooked, wondering why could they be at my door right away? What did I do? Thinking, what did I do? For the police to be here. And so I looked back out again, and then when I looked through the peephole again, they knocked again to announce themselves. And then I could see where one of them stepped to the side, and I could see across the hall where Jeff's door was open. And I could see a lot of traffic, a lot of cops, police officers in his room, in his apartment. And that's when I realized that they were there for him. Something was going on across the hall. So I told them to bear with me, and I put on a house coat, and I opened the door, and they announced themselves as police officers, told that we had to evacuate the building because of chemicals being found in Jeff's apartment.
Oh, that's
And
right. Yeah, he had.
I asked if he was okay. I said, "Is Jeff okay?" And one of them said, "Oh, the fucker's okay. Yeah, the fucker is okay."
Oh, you're good.
Wow.
Did you?
The
Really?
fucker's okay.
Did you ever eat any food that Jeff prepared?
No, I did not.
Thank God.
No,
Who
I
would
did
know
not.
what was in there?
Never bring a dish to pass at any of the
Yeah.
apartment
Ugh.
events.
Did you ever go visit him in jail? Because you guys were friends. I mean, you're pals.
No. I did go to a couple of his trials. I went to a couple of days that was involved in his trial, just because I took off from work to go downtown and just get firsthand information for myself. But no, I never visited him, not at all.
Oh,
You guys to get a copy of my book. You really do.
We've already added it to our favorite things list on
Yeah.
Amazon. We'll direct all the
Okay.
listeners.
Hey, Vernell, I just wondered, though, I mean, you know how sometimes you can get a feel for a person being maybe in the elevator with him or something like that? You never got the creeps standing next to Jeff Dahmer before you knew what he was all about, no?
No. And there was a time, and everything that I'm telling you now is in my book, where the smell was so bad to where the thought ran across my mind of it being decayed bodies,
Yeah.
coming out of this apartment. Thought ran through my mind of him killing people. And as soon as it ran through my mind, I dismissed it.
Did you ever?
I thought about it. Oh, no way. And kept going,
Did you ever borrow a tool from Jeffrey Dahmer, a power tool?
No, but I did hear his power tools going on.
Oh.
At what time?
It was about maybe 4 or 5 o'clock, maybe 6 o'clock in the evening.
Oh, okay.
Because I had a computer classes because where I worked, we were going transition from computer from the drafting board to the computer.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to take classes at MATC for the computer. Two nights a week. I think it was Tuesday and Thursday. I would go to my classes after work. And one evening I came home and I heard the spark for an electrical tool going on in this apartment. And so I just went right to my apartment across the hall, and I asked my wife, "Well, hey, what is he building over there?" And she said that he's been decorating his apartment.
Oh, yeah.
Either that or creating a zombie.
Yeah, exactly. And so then the next day, or it may have been the next day, that I came home from work, and I overheard him in an argument where he said, "Look, motherfucker, see what you made me do?"
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah. So right away, I actually started tiptoeing, and I eased to his door because I've never heard him raise his voice to anyone.
Yeah.
And I was thinking to myself that I wanted to hear the response to what he just said from the other person. I know that he's not, whoever it was, in that neighborhood, nobody's going to let him talk to them like that.
Right.
So I stood there for maybe a second or two listening for the comeback, and nothing, and it got very quiet in his apartment. I don't know if he sensed me at his door, or if he realized that he was talking too loud, or if he had said what he had said, and that was it. So it got quiet for a little while, and then when I didn't hear anything else, no movement, or he didn't say anything else, or nobody. There was no argument. I just went into my apartment.
Boy, that is so intense. And the book is Across the Hall.
Jeffrey Dahmer got away with murder, and I state this in my book. And I'm more than sure that I'm right, although I'm not an investigator or a detective or nothing like that. But I have been incarcerated, and at one time I did have a criminal mind. So I believe that he got away with murder because there was a murder on the third floor above us, where they found the guy, and the MO for the murder fits Jeffrey Dahmer to a T.
Really?
And, yes, and right to this day, that murder is unsolved.
No kidding! Wow.
And right now, I've got people right now that have read that, and it's going both ways. Some are agreeing with me, and some are disagreeing, saying, "Well, he confessed to everything, and why would he not confess to that one as well?" That's because he got away with it. That's why.
I'll tell you what, I watch a lot of true crime, and these cold cases so frequently come back up. Somebody gets a pile of cold cases, and you never know when they might take another look into that. So maybe your book will be an inspiration. But Vernell, it's great talking to you. It was really a lot of fun in spite of the subject matter, and so interesting. And I hope this does your book some good, and I hope they give you a good plug Saturday night, too.
Thank you.
He started killing in the military.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. So he had a long history of this.
You're getting ready to meet a victim, and his name is Preston Davis, which Amy knows. Last night,
Okay.
he was in the military with Dahmer. Now, I just did the Dr. Phil show with Preston Davis and Billy Capshaw. They both were in the military with Jeffrey Dahmer, and they were med students. Jeffrey Dahmer was a med student, and they taught him how to inject that acid into the people's head. They taught him the medical field, and he turned on them. They taught him, and then he attacked them.
Oh, wow.
Yes, they have their own story, which they told, and whatever he was doing to the boys in Milwaukee, he was doing to them before he got to Milwaukee. Yes.
Wow.
He murdered women too in the military.
He murdered women too. So how many people did he murder?
Well, we'll never know that.
Okay.
We will never know that. Yeah, everybody just knows the story about Jeffrey Dahmer in Milwaukee. No.
Nobody knows the story of him in...
And he had been doing this. The Red Cross came and knocked on my door and said, "You need to pack your things. For you and your children, you have an emergency in Milwaukee." Then I started getting the phone calls because I did know my brother was missing. The family did notify me to tell me that he was missing. And by them being the way they are, you know what my response was to that. I told them, "Well, you better go find them because I just sent them home to you. Go find him." And I didn't hear anything else until he left home April 7th. And the next time we heard anything about Earl, his name was Earl Lindsay too. He was the 11th victim. The next time I heard anything about him, it was July 23rd. 1991 to be exact.
Oh, wow.
July 23rd, 1991. So after we got on the Greyhound bus and rode all the way to Milwaukee, we got to the house where they were living. It was flooded with people, and these were my mother's sisters and brothers, and they were from Ohio and Indiana. And I walk in there, and there was no place to sit, and there was people everywhere. And I saw my mother standing in the middle of the floor with her brother. He was embracing her. My mother was crying. I walk in. Nobody said anything. They were just all sitting there like it was a horror movie, and everybody was zombie-faced.
Yeah.
It was never any love in the family anyway. So they were all sitting there, zombie-faced. I walk in there. I'm the last one to get there. out of the family. No one said anything to me. I just want you to know, I'm getting ready to go into a zone.
Yeah. Take your time.
Because what happened to my brother, they didn't know that they was pushing him out there to die, because they always was coming after me. I was supposed to been dead. They've been trying to kill me for years. They literally tried to kill me. My siblings and my mother stood there and watched. But anyway, it didn't happen to me. I escaped and it happened to him. I'm the first, he was the last. And he was so just like me, not afraid of anything, outspoken. And they couldn't do nothing with him, the siblings. It was like, when I told you that I recognize evil, I have already dealt with that spirit all of my life. I've never heard the word love mentioned in my home. I've never seen anybody embrace one another in our home. I've never seen anybody participate in the holidays, togetherness, unity, none of that. None of that. Even though I didn't know this was going to happen, I knew something was the way I was raised in that house. It was just ugly in that house. And everybody on the outside thought that it was all good. I'm living good. I never really wanted for anything, but it was hell in that house. It was just pure hell in that house.
I'm so sorry.
I wasn't raised with my siblings or my mother. Yeah. I was raised with my grandmother and her children. And the youngest girl in the house was me. And my grandmother's youngest child was 16 years older than me. So there was jealousy.
Okay.
There was a lot of jealousy. So I had to get through that part. And my grandmother never would say nothing. She would let everything go. Nothing. I would tell her, so-and-so did this, so-and-so did that. She never said a word. I didn't understand that. But you always want to discipline me. But anyway, back to Earl. I didn't know that they hated him just as much as they hated me. They never said it, but I saw it.
Yeah.
And he knew it wasn't right. He used to come to my house and tell me how they would bother him all the time. Okay. And our mother would never say anything, never to defend him. Mind you, this is her youngest child. So anyway, the story was how he ran into Dahmer was after I sent him from Ohio back to Milwaukee. He was working, but they always lived in poor conditions. I'm not going to lie. They did. Okay. There was no discipline, no structure, no respect, none of that in the home. They did what they wanted to do. So my brother was selling marijuana, and my sister was doing crack cocaine, but she didn't smoke it out the pipe. She rolled it in top papers, cigarette papers, and sprinkled the marijuana in it. What they call it, a primo.
Spliff or primo.
What some of that stuff. So anyway.
So I've heard.
Yeah, okay. But anyway, he wouldn't give it to her. And just because he wouldn't give it to her, she put him out. She just put him out. Didn't care where he went, nothing. So he had some friends upstairs. As a matter of fact, and this is another thing, I just got a text Saturday from my so-called nephew, which wasn't him. It was one of my siblings pretending that they were him.
Wow.
And he wanted to tell another version of the story. I'm like, no, I'm not going with that. So just because he wouldn't give her a bag of weed, just get out. But he had stabbed a boy. That's why my mother brought him to Ohio to stay with me. Okay. He had stabbed a boy in Milwaukee, and they were looking for him. The police was looking for him. So my mother took him to Cleveland to hide him out with me. And I didn't even know none of that.
Oh my gosh.
I had no clue why she bought him.
Okay.
Wow.
And she just left him there no money, no nothing. Just for me to take care of him.
Yeah.
He was 18. He had just turned, no, he was 18, getting ready to turn 19.
Okay.
So anyway, after she put him out, he had some friends that lived upstairs. He went and stayed with them. And that's when they gave him the key to go get cut at the key shop, which is next door to this porn bookstore. That's where Jeffrey Dahmer was. And the bookstore was first before you got to the key shop. So he had to pass Jeffrey Dahmer. And Jeffrey Dahmer was in that doorway.
Okay.
And approached him as he was passing by. Would you like to make extra money doing our jobs? Well, my brother said, sure, let me go and get this key made and we can discuss it when I come back. And he came out and he said, well, you have to go back to my apartment with me for more details. That's how he ran into Jeffrey Dahmer.
Okay.
And then I can even go further. After he got inside the apartment, he offered him a beer. He didn't even get to tell anything about a job because he had put the sleeping pills in his beer and opened it and gave it to him. I'm not sure.
That's what he did,
That's
right?
what he did.
That was his move.
Yeah. He did that with all of them. Well, most of them. And I know my brother was thirsty and probably hungry too. And I knew he threw that beer, just slammed it out just like that. He tells the story while he was out. That's when he drilled that hole in his head and poured that acid in. And then my brother woke up.
Oh my gosh.
And said he had a headache. So he had to take him out there. He strangled him. He gave him some more to knock him out. Then he strangled him. Then he dismembered his body.
I'm so sorry.
He spread it out a whole tarp, stripped them naked and start taking body parts off. And we just had the skull, hands, and feet to bury. That's what happened to my brother.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And he kept the key. He kept the key that he got made. I'm pretty sure the bag of weed and his little change he had. He kept souvenirs from all the guys. I felt like I shouldn't be the only one dealing with this.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be the only one. Especially I wasn't there when it happened. You got my siblings and mother that was actually there. No one even know he has a mother, if you ask me. Other siblings either. So I know Earl, and he will want me to do this for him. Plus he has 2 daughters, which he didn't get to meet.
Okay.
So, yeah, I want this closed.
Yeah.
I want it dealt with and finished. I want to have a memorial for him. Well, my children do anyway. They were like his little sisters. We didn't get to go to the funeral.
Yeah.
We did not get to go to the funeral. Another family incident. They left us on purpose.
Wow.
Yeah. We come all the way from Ohio to be here with my mother and her children. And I do say her children because I don't consider them as my siblings. But anyway. And they leave us. They tell us what time to meet at their house so we can all go bury whatever we had to bury. And we get there and they're already gone. So we didn't get to have a funeral. We didn't get to go. So I want that closed and out of the way. And now that his children, 31 years old, they get to put their father to rest, even though they didn't know him. And then they're getting bothered too by people coming to them. They don't even know their father. Never saw their father. And here comes all the public harassing them.
Wow.
And the one daughter said that it was overwhelming for her. I said, you don't have to deal with it. If they try to contact you, just give them my number. And that's what's been going on. She did one interview, I think it was with Insiders.
Okay.
And she didn't want to do any more. She said she can't handle it.
Does your brother have a place like where he's rested? Like where he's...
They took him back to Indiana where he was born. I was born there too. Yeah. In Michigan City, Indiana, right outside of Chicago. 55 miles out of Chicago.
Okay.
That's where his remains are laying. That's my phone.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's what I was told. I wasn't there, so.
Yeah, I didn't get to go to my mother's funeral either. But it's because I was a witness, but also my mother's family just sort of took that over and just kinda,
Yeah.
I mean, I was disowned, so
Sometimes the family can be just as bad as the perpetrator.
sometimes the family, and I think a lot of times in these situations, you find out when these situations occur just how fractured your family dynamic is. I mean, that was how it was for me. How do you tell an 11-year-old, 12-year-old child that you don't want to you don't want to have anything to do with him because he looks like his father?
Oh my God.
When he's the whole reason that his father was caught for murdering your sister in the first place and was brought to justice. Like, how do you justify that? It's ridiculous. But we can't pick this family that we
Right.
Yeah.
I said, look, this is how I deal with that. I may come from your portal, but that doesn't mean I'm like you.
Yeah.
I just happen to come from there. We're totally different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one seed is not like you or your other seeds. Okay? It's always that one that's going to be the outcast. And I used to get upset about it, but I'm so glad that they pushed me out the way. I'm very thankful. And I don't want to have anything to do with them because they're negative, they're evil, they mean me no good, and you tried to come after my children. You'd be better off coming after me. Don't mess with my children. Are you crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, they did some harmful things to me and my children. My one sister tried to sell my middle daughter for drugs. Yes, this is my baby sister.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Wow. Well,
And I felt the same way as I did about Jeffrey Dahmer as them.
yeah.
I do. I really do.
So I want to ask you, what is one thing that you want people to ask you about this story? What is one thing that you want people to ask you about yourself?
Okay, about the story is, ask me about who my brother really was. What type of person was he? Even though he only lived not even a full 19 years. He only was, 34 days into being 19. So he didn't have much of a life. But anyway, since we are all talking about this story and not Dahmer, we will put the focus on my brother. That's why I'm writing. I want to write this book and get it out the way so fast. I promise the public that it will be ready by the end of January. And we all know that's not going to happen. But it'll go into so much depth.
Yeah.
The book will.
Okay. Well, I'm
Yeah.
excited for this. And I'm excited for his story to be told with your voice because no one else can really do it except for you. And so I thank you for that.
Well, I know he's counting on me. Now he knows what he knew. They didn't care about me. They didn't care about me. And I thought they did. But I'm going to bat for him. I'm his voice right now.
But let me ask you something, on the flip side, because, and again, this is what I went to when I found out that a lot of his victims, the majority of them were men of color, black men.
Mm-hmm.
You hear a lot about crime that is inflicted and not wanting to look as hard at crime that is perpetrated against people of color in this country, or around the world, really. I do feel like the fact that Jeffrey Dahmer was at least brought to justice, and I mean the ultimate justice was him, in my opinion, getting, not to say, but getting
Taken care of.
Getting taken care of in prison. That was very fitting. Oxygen is precious in this world. We don't need people sucking it up. But I think, do you feel, because there has to be other stories of other people that we don't know about that have been victimized about this, where police turn their back on something because it happened to a community of color.
Yes.
So is there a small part of you that is at least grateful for the fact that that he was brought to justice for his crimes.
Yeah, but look how long it took, and it didn't even have to take that long. They could have nipped that in the bud and saved a whole bunch of lives.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? We didn't even have to go this route.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you were going to get caught eventually anyway, but you just took so many lives. And you didn't run from it. You really didn't try to hide it either. That's why you picked the neighborhood you did. Nobody was paying you any attention. I'm full of drugs. You was feeding your neighbors
Yeah.
organs. So what person in their right mind would eat your neighbor's food? And I think he was the only white man in there, in that whole building. But he would loan people money, so he was winning them over. All druggies. They were all druggies in that building. He was winning them over. They was vouching for Dahmer. My community was. And he was killing my community at the same time.
Wow.
He got away for a long time. He got by for a very long time. Yep. And he knew what he was doing. Went to work every day, working that ambrosia chocolate, taking some of the parts, throwing them in there. People buying the chocolate.
Wait, he worked at Ambrosia Chocolate? Oh, that's my mom's maiden name.
Ambrosia.
Yeah.
Yeah. He worked at Ambrosia Chocolate. He worked at the blood plasma. They said he was drinking their blood, but I don't know how true that was.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't believe everything that they say.
I don't believe. And I think that's
I
part
don't
of the
believe-
lore, right? The scary. It's the boogeyman.
Yeah, I don't
It's
believe
the-
everything. So when the skull was in the box, when the father came to the grandmother's house and he wanted that box and that skull was in it, I just talked to that family last week. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was one of the first of Milwaukee's.
Oh, wow.
Well, you know, I met all of them. I met all of them. I met every last one of them, except for the synthesiphone guy. I didn't get a chance to meet them. Even Tracy Edwards, the one that got away, lost his mind, been in jail, and actually killed somebody. I met him too. You know, he had a twin brother. Yeah. I met all of them. I met all the families. You know, it was so bad. After the court sessions every day, we had victim witness program for the family members. Do you know it was so bad they were fighting each other?
Yeah, you told me that the other day.
They were fighting each other. I mean, that demon was rolling. Because some of them were demons.
Yeah. It's a lot to deal with.
Yes.
It's a lot. A lot of people just can't handle it.
It was just ugly. And you didn't have time to put everything in its right place. You was dealing with what happened. You was dealing with the court. You was dealing with all the family members. It was just too much. It was just too much. And it was from 8 o'clock in the morning until 4 o'clock every day. And then the judge tell you, you better not go to sleep or you get escorted out of the courtroom. But his parents had reserved seats.
What?
Yes.
Wow.
Oh.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
His brother was there too.